This is a cheap microphone. This is a cheap audio interface. This is a cheap guitar. To make really good high quality music, I need more expensive equipment, right? Or do I? Hello, home music creators. Expensive equipment? You don't need it. People might tell you you do. Either they're trying to sell you something or they're just trying to justify their own purchases. Let's use the example of an audio interface. I use the Focusrite Scarlett series audio interfaces. You get exactly the same preamps on the low end of that range as you do on the high end. You get the same sound quality. You can spend $100 on one of those or $1,000. You're going to get the same sound quality. You just pay for more features at the high end. Microphone technology has also improved hugely over the years. Even a low-cost microphone can capture impressive sound quality. The key is to know how to use it effectively and understand the intricacies of microphone placement and room acoustics. Now, you can spend literally thousands of dollars on a microphone. You don't need to. I'm using this a lot of the time. I do use it for live use, but I also use it for recording. It's a bog standard Shure SM58. It costs about $100 and it's absolutely fine for home recording. Lots of people will tell you that it's not okay for home recording and you need a microphone that's much more expensive. You can use a more expensive mic if you want, that's fine, but it's fine for home recording. Even cheaper microphones than that, for example, the Shure PGA 48, which is about half the price, will be fine for home recording. If you want to know more about the SM58 for home recording, I've got a separate video on that. I'll link that in the description below and there'll be a card up there. And I showed you one of my very cheap guitars there. Let's talk about instruments in general. The quality of musical instruments these days, for example, electric guitars, is incredible even at those low price points. You can get a great guitar for just a few $100s these days. Contrast that to when I was first learning to play the guitar in the sort of mid-80s. My first guitar was a piece of crap. It wouldn't stay in tune, it felt horrible to play, it wasn't very nicely balanced, it had a locking nut that didn't really work. It was hideous. These days, you know, this cheap guitar, I can't remember how much it cost, it was probably only, I think, less than £150. It stays in tune, it plays well, and it sounds great. Examples of brands that make great guitars in that sort of price range are Squier, Epiphone, Yamaha, Harley Benton, and you can really get some great instruments for a very low amount of money. Now, you might be saying, Paul, what have you got against expensive equipment? Absolutely nothing. I have nothing against expensive equipment. And if you want to spend your hard-earned cash on some expensive gear, as long as you can justify that purchase and you're not stopping your kids from being fed, go for it. I'm all for it. I just bear in mind the law of diminishing returns. A guitar that costs $400 may well be twice as good as a guitar that costs $200. But a guitar that costs $5,000 will certainly not be 10 times as good as a guitar that costs $500. As the price gets higher, the added benefit gets less and less and less. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I'm a big advocate of just using what you have. It's far more important to just get started making music with whatever you have to hand, rather than think that you have to wait for some ridiculously expensive piece of gear to get your music making career started. You just don't. Use what you have. Many, many people have started with the cheapest gear you can possibly imagine. If you've only got a small amount of money to buy the gear you need to get started, great. Go and buy a $50 audio interface, a $50 microphone, and just get playing, get recording, get making music with whatever you have, whatever you can afford. The quality of the gear, even at that low price point these days, is so good. You will be able to get quality results with practice. And that's the key. The quality doesn't really come from the gear. It comes from you. It comes from your practice time investment in your art. So there we are. Don't fall into that trap of thinking you need expensive gear. You don't. Just get started. Just get making music, which means you are practicing and starting to get good right now. This is Paul from Home Music Creator signing off. See you in the next video. Cheers.